Just showing how to adjust the doors on this 60 V70 from 2001 and 9. Usually the doors, when you close them, they should be pretty easy to close without forcing too much. Like this door here, really nice. This one is not so good. So if you push it, just you really need to slam it. And also, of course, perhaps you know that these doors, when they are new, they make like a thump noise when you close them. This one not much, because, and that's perhaps one of the problems, what happens, these are the cars, the way they are supported here in the junkyard, slightly bending the frame, so it's not like when it's on the wheels. But also this is an indicator, and then I'm just going to show you how to adjust them. If you buy one car, if you want to see if it was maybe repainted, damaged in the past, check the doors. If they close with a nice thump and very easily, that means perhaps that door was never touched, never removed for repainting and stuff like that. You can also check the difference in shades, not on black but on the more light tints. So let's just see this one here. We have the, I'm not sure what's the name for this plate here, but it has 2 T40. And also, when you look at the top, at the bottom and of the side, you notice there is a small sign here, a small, let me just wait for the camera because this camera is really slow to focus. So you have a small, like a punch at each of this corner, this one too, and also 3 lines. Now same goes for all doors, right? This one is the rear one, front ones exactly the same. There is no exact science for these guys. I guess the guy in the factory, when they just assemble the cars, it's a very skilled guy that is really doing this very fast. But there are no such thing as the center line must be aligned with the small dot or so. You really need to do it by feel, and the way it's well, I would recommend you to do so. First undo these guys, they are pretty stiff in there actually. Not so bad. And the idea behind is don't untighten them completely, just enough so you can start moving this plate slightly, really just slight movements. Now which way you are going to move it, it's really case by case. You are going to try a lot of times, so be really patient. My suggestion is really tiny movements at some planes. Let's just try to move it maybe like this a little bit, rotate it a little bit, and then we are going to tighten it back. You don't really need to tighten it like fully, because you are going to do this several times. So let me just try to adjust it and see if we get good results. Okay, this one wasn't too bad. It's really closing very nicely. Of course you still need to push it a little bit, but that's the idea. You notice the door is no longer aligned here. I cannot really argue on this, but that's how it is if you want to close it nicely. And like I said, you may try to maybe to rotate it a little bit, to move it back and forth, up and down. You may need to move it, just an example, you may need to move it a little bit to the left, tighten, try, and then to move it also to upwards or downwards. So it's really not a you really need to do it case by case on each door. And one last thing, I'm not sure about this, but just wanted to share my impression, my idea is, one of the things that can happen is sometimes we try to work underneath the car for some reason, and we lift it at the center with the jack, floor jack, and we try to lift the whole side of the car at once. I don't know if that will change this kind of adjustment for doors, because it's like bending a little bit the frame. It's not a big bend, but it's just a little bit. So perhaps if you do so, try to place the floor underneath, under the B pillar, and not maybe too much away from it. So that's the idea. And speaking of lifting the car on the side, I know some people want sometimes to lift the front of the car at once. Careful with the subframe, because this subframe here, if you put a floor jack underneath it, it's an empty tube. And I can tell you from my experience, I put the jack underneath and the tube bent. It's not that big deal, but you may want to place a piece of wood, maybe a 2x4. And one trick, if you don't have a those very low jacks, if you have a regular one, what I will do is I will lift it a little bit, and then I will just place a piece of wood underneath the frame, remove the jack, the frame will stay on that piece of wood, just a small lift. Then I will put another piece of wood on the jack, and I will keep lifting it from there. That's just a trick for the regular jacks. If you have very low ones, you don't need this.